Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Movie Mates podcast. I am Matthew, here with my wonderful co-host and best friend,
Callum,
Callum. We've got a bit of an announcement today. Uh,
is this that our technology's improved, Matthew?
it might be.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you want to talk to the viewers about what we've done?
Well, if you guys can actually understand what we're saying today, finally, that means that you've clicked onto the right episode because we bought a mic.
We did. We bought a new mic.
Did you try to read what it said?
I couldn't.
VIII or
A
something?
VIII mic, I think
Or
it's called.
15.
15, yes. So we've got a new mic, guys, and hopefully the audio is crisper. Sorry. So just put up this mic has we just thought we'd upgrade the production value for you guys.
And aspirationally, we might even have two mics by the next episode.
Hopefully so. This will be the last episode of 2019. And before we start that episode, Callum, I'd like to thank you very much for all your support this year. And we just hope to crank out more episodes for you guys in next year. So, Callum, do you want to let the people know what we're going to be talking about today?
Well, just recently we saw Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker.
We did indeed.
So today, following suit with the rest of our Star Wars franchise series, we're doing episodes 7 to 9.
Yep.
In all honesty, I haven't watched episode 7 or 8 since they came out, so I'll be following Matthew's lead on his notes there. But of course, we saw episode 9 together.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we'll be going through our brief non-spoiler review of episode 9, and then moving on to full spoilers for the other two.
Yeah. So, did you want to start with The Force Awakens?
Sure, we can. Yeah.
So, just to preface this, I just remember this film to be one of the most hyped films of all time. Like, I think it might be. I think it's probably regarded as more hyped than Endgame even, because this was just after the prequels and people were, for a better term, disappointed, I would say.
Yeah.
And people, J.J. Abrams was, I think he had directed the original 2009 Star Trek.
He had,
as well. And that was well regarded, and people were just excited for a soft reboot, I suppose. So, I mean, I didn't see it when it's released, did you?
I did,
You
yeah.
did, yeah.
Surprisingly, this was the first Star Wars film I'd ever seen, and I think it's a pretty good introduction for new viewers. Assuming
Absolutely.
Well, especially as many people would say that it's a complete retread of the original, complete rehash of A New Hope.
Yeah, I think that works though for a soft reboot because we've got new characters like Finn, Poe, and Rey, of course, but I think it works because you've got the original cast of Chewbacca, Han. Maybe not Luke and Leia.
Leia's in it, yeah.
And C-3PO and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I just think this film improves drastically as a reboot. Well, not because the prequels weren't really a reboot, so to speak, but I just think this film is really clever in how it takes concepts from the original trilogy, like the Empire, and makes them and sort of molds them differently, because we've got the First Order.
Copies them, you could say.
Some would argue that. I think I think the First Order is way cooler than the Empire, though.
I think you're gonna get. I can't wait.
You think
I think you're gonna get hit for this.
Oh man!
If anyone makes it to this point in the video.
One thing about this film, I suppose, with this trilogy in general, is that it allows for more female empowerment, I suppose, and the women in the franchise get a lot more to do. Obviously, the main character is Rey.
Yeah.
And Leia is a general now, as we see in Force Awakens. So I guess it sort of moves on from, the male-dominated worlds of, Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, Vader, and moves towards sort of, more prominent female roles.
I mean, I agree. There was probably a lacking of female representation, but I don't think that the female characters were ever done a disservice.
Oh no, not at all.
The few female characters that were present in all of the previous films were, some of the most iconic and celebrated characters in the Star Wars franchise.
Yeah, what are your opinions on Rey as the main lead in this film? This is probably Daisy Ridley's first major film. I'd never heard of her before.
No,
really?
I'd never heard of her. This may be her first film. I think it is her first film from memory. Though I have not fact checked.
She's a young actress as well, so it would have been one of her first. If not.
I think she does a good job, but the character is very poorly written.
Yeah, I agree. I think her performance is great, but the character's bland.
Yeah. She's bland, but also she can do everything, but nothing that she does is interesting.
Yeah.
She can fly the Millennium Falcon. She can speak droid.
she's a master of the Force, sort of
with no training.
With no training, yeah. And
like I understand, because in previous films we've seen Force sensitive characters be able to speak droid. I kind of get that one.
Yeah.
And I get, if you were already a good pilot, being Force sensitive would help guide you.
Yeah.
But she seems to have never flown before.
But yeah, one thing I sort of wanted to mention to you was how this film sort of introduces a new Han Solo type character, of course, with Poe.
Yes.
And but you were saying he was supposed to die in the first act.
Yes, he was in the original script, and then they obviously saw what a great performance Oscar Isaac was giving.
Yes.
And decided to give Poe a proper chance.
Had you heard of Oscar Isaac before this franchise? Because obviously he's probably more renowned now with his work as Apocalypse in X-Men Apocalypse.
Yeah, this is the first I'd heard of him.
Yeah.
Was it the same for you?
Yeah, same for me, yeah. Well, actually, X-Men Apocalypse, and then found out that he was in Force Awakens.
Oh wait, when did you first see this film?
2017, so same year as Last Jedi. No, wait, Last Jedi was 2018, wasn't it?
No.
2017?
Yep.
2017.
Cool.
But yeah, no, he's fantastic, and I suppose if we're just going through characters, he is the definition of a suave ladies man, I think, you know.
Is he though?
You disagree?
Well, I assume you're aware of the ship between him and Finn.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
I ship that as well.
Perhaps not a suave ladies man.
Perhaps not. One thing I did want to mention though is Adam Driver as Kylo Ren. I mean, he's probably my favorite character in this trilogy, if I'm honest. What about you?
I think he's a pathetic, weedy little bitch.
You think he's like? Do you think he's like not as good as Vader?
Oh, I think he's embarrassing.
Okay.
I think the character is just so desperate to be the same as Darth Vader or better, and it comes off as embarrassing, honestly.
I do like how the film portrays how he wants to follow his grandfather's legacy, and obviously probably one of my favorite scenes is when he talks to the broken mask of Vader in the ship, but
he doesn't connect the dots that Vader, well, in the eyes of everyone else, Vader redeemed himself.
Yes,
but then he's like, I'm gonna be like my grandfather, but when he was a dickhead.
yeah.
You know,
they're obviously. I suppose it's intentional that they look roughly the same with red lightsaber, sort of black cloak and stuff. But
well, yeah, that's just.
I think his lightsaber's way
standard.
Cool. Like it's an edgy lightsaber. I'll give him that.
You don't think it's impractical?
You could very easily chop your hand off, couldn't you?
Very
easily. Or if it slips and the thumb goes or something. But yeah, I mean. I think if we're talking about character interpretations or copies, rather, I think BB-8 is way better than R2. I think I'm gonna get a lot of hate for that as well. But even the practicality of it, it's well done.
And I objectively don't give a shit about droids, so
yes.
Fuck them all.
You're not a fan of BB-8?
No, I'm not.
That's fair. That's fair enough. Yeah.
I mean, any character that you can't interpret what they're saying, I don't like.
Yeah.
Like if everyone's like, "That's a good point, BB-8," I'm like, "Go fuck yourself." Tell me what he's saying or don't.
Yeah. No, I agree. Do you think the droids are annoying throughout the whole?
Oh, incredibly. I mean, C-3PO is one of the worst.
We'll talk about him in Rise of Skywalker. I think he redeemed himself in that film. But
perhaps, yeah.
Perhaps. But lastly, sort of character-wise, I wanted to mention was John Boyega as Finn.
Yes.
He's probably up there with Adam Driver for me as favorite performance in this film and of course the franchise.
Yeah,
but he's excellent. Like
his American accent's quite impressive, honestly.
Because it is, and I don't know if you remember when the trailer for this came out. There was a lot of confusion as to who was the main character, John Boyega or Daisy Ridley.
Because the first trailer was pretty much just a shot of Jakku and then just Finn's head. Yeah.
I do like the fact that he is a rogue stormtrooper and stuff, and how his somewhat of character arc is trying to escape that mold of the First Order, I suppose.
Yeah, that was quite refreshing at this point, but since then they've obviously done Rogue One with people in the Empire rebelling, and then Han in Solo, a Star Wars story, we see that Han was a part of the Empire. So yeah, at this point that was a fresh idea, and I enjoyed that.
Absolutely. I suppose one thing that's hard about soft reboots is picking up where the old films left off. So obviously in this film we see the Millennium Falcon is just left in a random junkyard.
Yeah.
And I just think, like, why is one of the coolest spaceships ever just left in a random junkyard? Like, how has no one either salvaged it for parts or has stolen it?
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
awesome.
Han Solo says, in episode 6, that, he doesn't think he'll ever see the Millennium Falcon again. But there's no explanation as to why he doesn't.
Exactly.
Lando returns it safely. So how did it end up on the junkyard? Did they ever explain that?
I don't think, no, they don't explain that, but it's just, I don't know, like, you think it'd either be safely returned or hidden away somewhere, but it's just left on a scrapyard, really, but...
Or was it, had he like pawned it for cash because he gets like attacked by those creatures on the ship, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. But I suppose we should talk about Han Solo in this film and the reveal that he is the father of Kylo Ren and Leia. Obviously, did you see that reveal coming, or were you for it?
Yeah, I'm sick of this shit.
Well, this like the.
I think it's just. I think this film is just very lazy. My
Excuse me, viewers, sorry.
Casual opening and drink. No, I think this film is just incredibly lazy in how it just, unashamedly steals plot lines from all of the previous films.
Yeah, I suppose it is a bit of a Star Wars cliche now that there's always a connection between the heroes and the villains. Obviously, we've seen Vader
which
and
is
Luke.
fine, but you have to do something different.
I think you do have to do something different, but also, it's getting a bit of the same routine sort of now. Of like, we'll talk about it in more detail later, but I mean. Yeah, I do agree with you that it's a bit bland.
Yeah.
But
I mean, honestly, I couldn't tell you anything I really enjoyed about this film other than the effects and the acting.
The effects are stellar. One thing I did want to mention is, I suppose we could talk about it now, that not all three films are directed by the same person.
Yeah.
And that's evident, I suppose, because obviously in this film we see Snoke,
Yeah.
and he's sort of, I suppose for somewhat of a better term, the new Emperor, could you say?
Yeah, arguably.
And he's sort of built up to be the big bad, and I'll talk about it in Last Jedi. He's just wasted, but I think in this film, the CGI is a hologram for all of it.
Oh,
really.
it's piss poor.
It's very, very, very poor. That's probably the only bad effect. Maz is fantastic. I'm not sure if that is practical or not. As it looks that good.
It is not.
No.
No. Do you mean the alien voiced
With
by
the glass-
voiced by Lupita Nyong'o?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Not practical.
No,
effect.
well, to be fair, it looks good. It does look good. I guess my major criticism with the film in terms of plot points is that obviously Luke Skywalker, he's a no-show.
Yeah. Until the very final scene.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask, like, why would Luke exile himself because Kylo Ren killed everyone instead of just stopping him? Like, I mean, Luke is the most powerful Jedi, and I have a major criticism throughout the trilogy of Luke that, he could have stopped so many atrocities.
Yeah, I think the explanation for that in The Last Jedi is poor. They sort of say that Luke exiled himself, I guess, out of shame.
Out of shame.
They tried to kill Kylo before he even became evil.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, we'll get into it then. But I'm not surprised at why he did that. Really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I wouldn't have exiled myself out of shame. I would have been like, well, I was right, wasn't I?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Like, I suppose the main plot point of this film that shocked everyone was Han Solo's death at the hands of Kylo Ren. I mean,
did that shock anyone?
Well, I don't know, because in the moment it's pretty obvious that he's going to die, but throughout the film I think it's a ballsy move to kill off such a popular and heroic character in Han Solo.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, like, you know how desperate, like, Harrison Ford was for his character to be killed?
Really?
He wanted to die through the carbonite in episode 5, and then in episode 6 he wanted to be killed on Endor, and like he just kept saying to George Lucas how much he wanted to die.
Why? Does he want like a heroic ending, or does he just want out of the franchise?
I think he just wanted out of the franchise, honestly, because I honestly think, I mean, I don't understand actors who say, oh, I don't want all this attention for this one really famous thing I did. I'm like, well, you didn't have to do it. You did it for the money.
Exactly.
So, like,
exactly.
You reap the benefits and the consequences, but I assume he just wanted out of the spotlight for this major role. But George Lucas said, no, we're never going to kill Han Solo because no kid wants a dead Han Solo toy. Which I don't really get.
Was that a quote?
That's a quote from George Lucas.
Genius.
But
do you think Lucas was happy with this film?
No, he was very upset, actually.
Very much so.
Because his vision was always that the Star Wars franchise was about Anakin Skywalker, it wasn't about the Skywalkers, it was about Anakin Skywalker.
Suppose that is his trilogy, so he
so
sort of feels ownership
the
over
six
that.
films that he made were all about Anakin Skywalker, and then he had a certain view of what 7, 8, 9 should be, and then he gave all that to Disney when they bought him out.
Why did he give that to, like, it seems like his pride and joy, I suppose, was it just for the big payout?
I mean, it was like $4 billion or something.
Wow.
And he's a very charitable guy, so actually
Yeah.
about 50% of that I believe was or has gone to charitable
That's
donations.
very kind of, like, he doesn't really strike me as the type of guy who would sell, no matter the cost, his franchise. Like, because it's his vision, it seems like he would put money and finances aside to focus and create that vision. But
And
fair
honestly,
play.
yeah, I mean, he had panic attacks because everyone was telling him that the first one wouldn't do well, and then it did amazingly.
Yeah.
So I mean, if it was me, I wouldn't have taken it out of my own hands. But I guess after the huge public backlash from the prequel trilogy,
Yeah.
he felt that maybe the fans would be more comfortable if it was in someone else's hands.
But
He was devastated that they just retread, you know,
his work.
his first steps in the first film. I mean, like, going back 40 years and just making basically the same film again, that's just so lazy.
Quite lazy, isn't it? Yeah. But do you like Lucas? Like, do you feel sorry for him?
Oh, I do feel sorry for George Lucas. I mean, he's done nothing to my knowledge that would
No.
elicit anything other than praise and empathy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I think that the first Star Wars film, A New Hope, is probably the second best in the franchise for me, and that was obviously his most unadulterated vision for the franchise. That was with the least input. I mean, he was obviously the production was rushed, and he was sort of backed into a corner money wise, but the fact that he made such an amazing film is even better.
100%.
It's even more
Kudos.
impressive.
Yeah.
So honestly, I think that J.J. Abrams deserves more criticism than George Lucas.
I think because it's a time thing as well, and movies have changed, and the way movies are shot have changed. I think the action in this film is shot and is portrayed way better. I mean, the Kylo Ren and Finn lightsaber battle it's just beautifully shot, and it's, for want of a better term, like, it's pretty, like, enthralling, and it grips you. But yeah, I mean, for me, I don't have much to say because this film, I don't have a lot of plot points because it's just A New Hope.
Yeah, it is just A New Hope, and I think everyone would recognize that A New Hope is also quite uneventful.
Yes, I have more plot points for Last Jedi, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, do you have any concluding points, Bud? Because mine have just been we've talked about.
Yeah.
I've got a really good soft reboot that works for new and old fans alike. However, probably quite lazy.
Yeah.
In that regard.
I mean, there is one final point which isn't earth shattering, but just one of my least favorite things that is in almost every film of this franchise is just where they detour from the plot and then they get attacked by some sort of beast.
Yeah, that's so true.
In episode in episode 6, it's in the Rancor pit.
Yeah.
And then in episode 7, it's the creatures on the ship, and then in episode 8, like I don't like. I think it's just an excuse for them to both kill time and show.
Chuck a bit of action in.
We can create some unique animal species.
I do agree.
Alien species
No,
design.
I do agree with you. Like, it seems like
it's usually incredibly tedious and it wastes time, and I'm just not interested, honestly.
no, I agree with you, Bud. I agree with you.
I think the one time that it worked well was when the Wampa attacked in episode 5.
Yeah, I mean, plus the practical effects in Empire are pretty stellar as well.
Yeah.
So can't really go wrong with that. But as for me, yeah, I think this is a good film. It probably is a bit lazy in terms of characters it steals or copies and plot points, but for me, solid 8. I think it's good. What about yourself, Bud?
Well, I mean, I think they made a good decision in that if you're going to copy a film, at least copy a good film.
Yeah, true.
So this film is almost as good as A New Hope, because it's pretty much the same film.
Yeah.
So the quality is similar, but I have to, take some kudos away for the lack of originality.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'd probably give it a solid 7.
Yeah, solid 7. I'm just gonna increase the mic volume slightly. So next film, I guess, Last Jedi.
Yes.
And I don't know, certainly in recent memory, but maybe last decade or so, most divisive film of all time amongst fans.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a campaign to have a film remade before.
No.
You know,
apart from Justice League with the Snyder cut, but that's sort of a different.
Yeah, that's a different
thing.
cut of the same film. People literally said abolish this from canon and then
Create a new one.
completely reshoot it with a different plot.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have a lot of
people are
things to say about
insane.
this.
I'm sorry.
It's not that bad.
Oh, it's good.
It's good. Yeah.
It's. I think it's the best of this trilogy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Fair enough.
I mean, it's kind of slim pickings. Like this, this trilogy is not great. I'll be honest.
Oh, fair. Okay.
I think they're all kind of just quite bland and generic and repetitive.
Well, I get this one was a lot of funny moments, probably unintentionally, but I do quite like with Leia. I don't know if you remember, like during the opening battle scene, Leia slaps Poe, and even like he was only trying to help the counterattack with the Resistance, but I mean, I think people are very harsh on Poe in these movies. I know he's quite arrogant and he's supposed to be Han Solo sort of this trilogy, but I think he gets a hard time. I don't know. Like he's quite clearly a great pilot and great soldier. So
yeah, I don't think he doesn't even appear arrogant to me. He just because he's always right.
He knows what he's doing. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I suppose if I mention it here, it'll similar to the last episode. We can leave it. The great score as always, I suppose.
Yeah.
John Williams still alive?
Yes, John Williams is still alive, but episode 9 will apparently be the final time he ever scores a Star Wars film.
Okay.
But which is a shame. But I guess
yeah,
that's fine as long as they're moving away from the Skywalker saga, because they said that episode 9 is without doubt the final
I don't know if
Skywalker
I believe that.
story. I mean, I should just get it out here right now. They absolutely should have left it with episode 6. They have fucked up massively.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I really like this trilogy. This is I don't know. It's probably my least favorite of the trilogy, if I'm honest, but it's still a good film. Like we'll talk about our thoughts of Rise of Skywalker. I really don't know. We haven't really talked about it since we've seen it.
I honestly think this is the only one that has anything interesting in it.
Yeah, there is a lot of breaks the mold, and certainly.
I guess that's maybe just because sort of in each film, like one of the original series characters gets big play. In episode 7 it's Han Solo. In episode 8 it's Luke Skywalker, and then in episode 9 it's actually Chewbacca.
Yeah. I remember that when this film
and I would say that Luke Skywalker is the one that I had any nostalgia for, just because that he's the main character.
I would say
and
when people
he's
say
the only
Star
one I
Wars,
remembered.
when people say Star Wars, you probably think of Luke Skywalker, I'd imagine.
I do.
Either Luke, Leia, or Han, I imagine. But yeah, I think obviously we see Kylo Ren hesitating to fire and kill his mother because he's force sensitive and stuff. But I think that's good character development because it suggests like there's still good in him. Like as much as he wants to be his grandfather and follow his legacy, like it's sort of impossible for him, I guess, because like I think he's still a good guy. Obviously, like we talked about this with Vader, like he's killed billions, and so's Kylo Ren, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Maybe even more. We don't know, but
I'm sorry. I just never like a morally ambiguous character. I prefer a villain and a hero. Even when people call like characters like Deadpool an anti-hero, in reality he's a hero, because he kills people for good. Like Kylo Ren is a straight up twat. Like he is killed so many people in the name of evil, and then he's like, and I'm like, no, you're a piece of shit. And then people are like, oh, but he's redeemable. No, absolutely not.
Like, I think this film does make a lot of choices that I can see why fans would be angered with, because obviously, so it subverts a lot of scenes that you think are going to be really grand and heroic. Obviously, we see Luke just throw away his green lightsaber.
Yeah,
I can imagine that would annoy a lot of hardcore fans and stuff. But I guess one of the main things I wanted to ask you is the Kylo Ren Luke flashback to when he thinks about killing him because he senses the dark side in him, or Snoke's corruption.
Yeah.
Whose side are you on in that? Do you feel sorry for Kylo Ren, or do you think Luke, you probably made the better decision? Because it's an interesting point that I'm iffy on, to be honest.
Well, honestly, I don't think Luke should have killed him, because I mean at that point had he even showed any
No, he hadn't destroyed the Jedi training center yet at this point until he obviously tried to kill him.
But then do you think Luke trying to kill him motivated him, or do you think that's just Kylo Ren using that as an excuse.
See, it's hard to, like, I assume, I think it's probably, I don't think it's him trying to use it as an excuse. Like, I think genuinely it probably was just Snoke's corruption, and, you know, it wasn't probably, well, obviously it's Kylo Ren doing those actions, but it's hard to say. 'Cause I agree with you, I don't think he should have killed him. He doesn't kill him, obviously, but yeah, obviously I don't agree with,
Yeah.
you know, Kylo Ren destroying the Jedi Center either.
But I mean, obviously, like, Snoke doesn't even have the same power to corrupt as the Emperor, and
No.
the Emperor wasn't able to corrupt Luke.
That's the thing.
So clearly Kylo Ren was either weak of mind or evil already.
Like, Snoke's powers aren't really made clear at all.
No.
I don't know. Is he played by Andy Serkis in the first one as well, in Force Awakens?
Yes, he is,
Yes.
yeah. I mean, I don't know whether he did physical motion capture, but it's definitely his voice.
Yeah, man, true. But I do think Kylo has every reason to be upset because of Luke's sort of abandonment of him, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I don't. Yeah, he probably shouldn't have destroyed the Jedi facility.
I mean, like, I can understand why Luke thought about killing Ben, like, based on how badly Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon fucked up with Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah,
You know, they
big
were
time. Yeah,
they were just like,
big time.
yeah,
bro.
we shouldn't even be raising Skywalkers anymore. Like,
No.
let's just kill them.
Yeah, true. Like,
I mean,
Yeah.
it seems at this point that we're never going to see a child of Luke Skywalker, and I presume he didn't have any because he was just like, well, it's like pretty much 50-50 whether
Yeah.
they're going to be a murderer.
could be a hero or a galaxy destroying leader.
Yeah, I don't remember. Did they say that is Ben Solo the only Solo?
See,
I could have sworn they said they had a daughter or something.
I guess we'll go straight to the, like, we see a new Jedi with a broomstick at the end of this film.
Are they meant to be a Jedi, or is it just meant to show that, ooh, there could be a future generation?
See, I've read into it, and apparently it's supposed to be a new, because obviously, you know, the Last Jedi, and it's not the Last Jedi. Like, there's multiple, so I don't know. It's supposed to be. Some people say it is. Let us know in the comments, by the way. Like, if you know have any clarity on that. Like, I don't know if it. We don't.
Do you mean like the kid who just looks up to the sky?
I mean the kid, like, you know, takes the broomstick. Yeah, the kid. Who does
Wait,
it,
they
like-
used the Force to take the broomstick?
I think so.
I'm sorry, I haven't seen this in 2 years.
I'll.
No, don't bother looking it up, Matthew.
Okay.
But like, I believe
To
you.
my
but-
knowledge, but yeah, I mean, it's hard to say because would you like another Solo or rather a child of Luke? Like, do you think that'd be an interesting plot point for a future movie or trilogy?
No, not at all.
No.
No, they should just burn this bridge. Honestly, like,
Would you just?
I'm sorry,
How do you make more Star Wars
Disney
movies?
fucked up so badly.
How would you make more Star Wars movies? Because you got to make more Star Wars movies. They're money-making machines. Like, I can't think of any plot points you do unless you just reboot and have loads of new characters.
Well, I mean, they've managed to come up with new stories to do on Disney Plus
Mandalorian.
and the Obi-Wan series and the Cassian Andor film.
Yes. Yes.
So I mean,
true.
they can just keep making spin-offs, but I mean, I don't know where their logic is in deciding what becomes a series and what becomes a film. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean, like
Obi-Wan could
what
have just been a film.
I think Obi-Wan would have made a better film probably.
Yeah. Would you have Ewan McGregor back? Yeah.
Oh, he is back.
Oh,
Yeah.
is he back? Is he? Yeah.
Yeah,
Confirmed? Oh, cool.
100% confirmed.
I like that.
He's apparently known for years.
Really?
And he's apparently just been
He
lying
does
to
look the
lying to
same, to be
interviews.
fair. Like, he looks pretty similar to.
But that's not a good thing because he looks nowhere near Alec Guinness. Like he
Was this
somehow
after the prequels?
yeah, it's set after Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
But somehow in 20 years he turned from Ewan McGregor to Alec Guinness.
It's a bit of a drastic jump, isn't it?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I mean I think they're about like his age at the end of Revenge of the Sith, and then Alec
Hope.
Guinness is in A New Hope.
Yeah.
I think it's something like 35 years difference. But he's meant to have aged that in 20.
So one thing I wanted to mention to you is we see Yoda back in this film.
Yes.
Puppet Yoda rather, not
Thankfully,
CGI.
yeah.
I think the puppet looks weird. I don't know
Nah,
what
the
it
puppet's
is.
awesome.
I don't get me wrong. I love the puppet, but I don't know what it is. Like, I assume it's a different puppet from the original trilogy. Has to be.
Presumably.
But
yeah.
I just looked at a little weird. I
I
mean,
just assumed that Frank Oz was dead because
isn't it?
no,
I'll say.
I could have. I mean, just they can take on the properties of humans. So like, what's even the point of them being dead?
Plus, they're way more powerful.
Yeah, I mean, from memory, is it Yoda that calls lightning that destroys all of the Jedi books?
Yeah, he destroys the Jedi temple.
Why does he do that? Is that
I think
because
it's to stop Luke?
is it to stop Luke from teaching more Jedi?
I
What
think
the fuck
so.
is Yoda doing? I mean,
Classic
we'll
Yoda.
talk about, like, in episode 9, there's some repercussions for the lack of Jedis.
Yes.
Is it Jedi?
Jedi. I think Jedi's plural as well.
I think Jedi is plural, yeah.
Maybe with an extra I.
Jedi.
Yeah, Jedi.
Fun fact, did you know the plural of penis is not penises? It's
Peni?
It's peenies.
Is it?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm just going to keep that in. That's
fun-
quite interesting.
Fun fact, kids. Yeah.
Cool. Where did you learn that from?
From another podcast.
Does it?
Yeah.
Does it do go on?
Yes, the Do Go On did an episode called Keen for Peen, The History of the Penis.
Check it out, guys.
Yeah, check it out, guys.
But yes, one thing I sort of wanted to criticize the film for, one of my few criticisms,
Why?
to be honest.
What am I talking about? Like,
It's fine. No, it's fine. It's funny.
they're a comedy podcast. Like, they don't just talk about penises.
The Finn and Rose subplot is awful.
Take out the part where I name the podcast.
Okay.
And it's called...
Should we just take that whole bit out?
Yeah.
Okay. One thing I wanted to say about the film that I disliked was the Finn and Rose subplot.
Oh, it's
It
garbage.
leads nowhere. They're trying to build a romance, but not really. It's just weird.
Yeah.
I don't like it. But
I think it was an embarrassing attempt to, like, last minute give him a female romance to, like, quiet the shippers of Finn and Poe. Honestly,
they could have just went with Finn and Poe. It's nothing wrong. I think it's quite good. I mean, well, obviously
Yeah.
we see. I don't know.
I think they're just intimidated, like, to take the first step in having openly gay characters in any franchise.
I think that's a Disney thing with, like, Steve and Bucky as well. They're just like, no, like, fans aren't ready for it because obviously they're two Disney projects. So
Well, honestly, with Steve and Bucky, I think that's honestly just, like, fan. I think that's just basically, like, people writing fan fictions. You know,
I do agree.
I think there's no basis for that because I think you can have just a strong male friendship, but there's no reason for this not to work.
Yes.
You know, and I think it's more that they're concerned about pissing off Star Wars purists, who like even there's a moment in The Rise of Skywalker, which I can mention here, where two women kiss.
Yeah,
and
apparently
that
that was taken out in a Chinese.
People made a stink about it just
I
because,
don't know why,
like,
though.
just because, I mean, some of the biggest fans of Star Wars are, you know, middle-aged people, and a lot of them, you know, have problems with that, and I don't understand why, but
I think
Disney clearly, you know, recognizes what will tank their markets.
Yeah, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, I think the Steve and Bucky one is probably less warranting, I suppose you could say, than the...
There's no real grounds for it, I don't think.
But besides, you know, we've never really seen Poe or Finn, for that matter, have like relationships with other women either, really. So there's no real ground for that. Whereas, you know, we've seen Steve with...
But I think they honestly made, like, a last-ditch attempt, like, for a romantic interest for Finn in this film, and then for Poe in episode 9.
Yeah, I suppose with... Well, I mean, we'll talk about Finn in Rise of Skywalker, but I suppose in this film the main shock, if you will, I mean, we can't really call it a shock because there's another one later, but when Kylo Ren kills Snoke and offers... Well, you sort of think he's turned to the light side, or, you know, becoming a Jedi or whatever, but he just asks Rey to join him, I suppose. Like, I thought that was really well executed for the film. I thought it was excellent. Okay. I thought of a bit of a waste of Snoke, because I've seen Chris Duckman mention this as well, and I do agree with him. Because this is Rian Johnson, I believe.
Yes.
It sort of feels like...
Director of Knives Out.
Knives Out. Check it out. Knives Out is excellent. He's sort of like... It feels like he's just disregarded Snoke. I don't like that character. I'm just going to kill him off, really, because I think Snoke's a way cooler villain than bringing back the... can I say bring back the Emperor? I mean, he's in marketing. Yeah, okay. I think the Snoke's way more compelling than just rehashing the Emperor from, you know...
I mean, I don't know where you've got that, seeming as he had about 8 minutes of screen time. But you're like... I think what about him is... What about him did you find compelling?
I just think even the simple performance by Andy Serkis is excellent. The design is awesome. And also the fact that he's similar to the Emperor, as if he's pulling the strings, so to speak, for the First Order. Like he's manipulating Kylo Ren and whatever. But yeah, I suppose he is not in it for a lot. I do agree with that, but I don't know. It just feels like Rian Johnson sort of thought he disregarded a lot of plot points for this and decided... I just don't know why I focus so much on Finn and Rose, to be honest. It's just not for me.
Especially because it's such a lethally long film.
Oh, yeah.
It's 2.5 hours long.
That's
and
really
about,
long,
30 minutes of it is just Finn and Rose, and that's the worst storyline of the film.
Yeah.
And it's probably the worst subplot of any Star Wars film, I would say. Or
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
Or it's at least
Absolutely.
definitely up there.
Yeah.
I mean, genuinely, people will probably argue, parts of Attack of the Clones or something, because I mean, for some reason, people think Attack of the Clones is like the worst Star Wars film.
Not bad.
It's pretty solid.
I've
Like,
got a lot of
so
nostalgia for
I
it.
think people would say probably a storyline in that is probably the worst. But I think this is just total like wasteful trash.
One thing that pissed me off and pissed a lot of fans off was the fact that Luke Skywalker,
Just doesn't give a shit anymore.
and he's not even there. That's really
Oh.
insulting. That's really insulting to the character, I think.
Yeah.
And I think his death is just pathetic.
Yeah, because I was wondering like, oh, where did he get like a fresh trim on that island?
Yeah.
And then it turns out like he just like sent out like the sexiest version of himself like to go have a scrap with.
He does have a
Kylo.
haircut now that I think about it. Like it's back to the Return of the Jedi days. But I mean, I don't know. It's just a little. I don't know if insulting is the right term. I get like it's supposed to be cool and like he just like wipes his shoulder and stuff and fights Kylo Ren, but
I mean,
don't
obviously,
know.
like I honestly think that was just okay. It was incredibly visually impressive on Create when they had the footsteps create the red
and you
sand.
think that's his blood. Obviously, when Kylo Ren sort of slices through that, and then you see like the red
Yeah,
prints on the planet.
but like, did you realize that was a force projection?
Not
'Cause-
not during that until obviously stabs through them and he's not there.
Because I realized because I was a perceptive
Did you
genius.
notice the fresh trim?
I noticed the trim, and then I noticed the fact that his footprints weren't showing up. Because obviously that's why they created that landscape. The footsteps created a red print so that they could have that be a reveal that had precedent in previous scenes.
Yeah, I just find it weird that Kylo Ren should be able to sense that that's not him.
Yeah, I mean he should be able to sense that there's an absence of the force around him because he's not there. I suppose because he's a force projection, he is basically just like a corporeal form of Luke Skywalker.
I get that he's sort of older now, but I don't know how that can kill him. Like he just dies on a rock.
Yeah, it just fades away.
It's just that annoyed me. I'll be honest. I think that's really unjust for the character. I don't know how Mark Hamill felt about it.
I don't think he was happy at all, really, because I remember people were even worried going into this film because Mark Hamill was like, yeah, this is not Luke Skywalker as we know him. Like, I'm unhappy with this.
Yeah, I think just because his death from exhaustion, I just think it's really lazy, and it's as if they just couldn't come up with a cooler way to kill the character or just keep him alive.
Yeah.
Obviously, we see well, I'm not getting into it, but I don't know. I just think this film makes a lot of curious choices. Like, do you think Ryan Johnson is at heart like a Star Wars fan, or do you think he?
I have no reason to believe either way. I don't really know anything about Ryan Johnson, but I mean, people say that this film ruined Star Wars. It's not the worst Star Wars film.
No,
Let's be honest.
It's not. It's definitely not the worst. It's probably my least favorite in the trilogy, but
What is the worst Star Wars film? I mean, I'll be honest. I don't dislike.
Probably
Like,
Phantom Menace
I don't
for-
hugely
for-
dislike any of them.
no, me neither. I think they're all decent. I think Phantom Menace is probably my least favorite if I were to pick.
Yeah,
Or
I'd
if I
probably
were,
agree.
let's put it this way, like if I were to not watch one of them, I'd
Again.
probably pick Phantom Menace. That's not bad.
So let's go through the three trilogies. So
Okay.
like, what's your least favorite in the prequel trilogy?
Least favorite?
Yeah.
Phantom Menace.
So I'd agree. Then original.
New Hope.
I would say Empire Strikes Back. Sorry, no. No. Return of the Jedi. I
Return
mean,
of the Jedi. No.
Empire Strikes
I
Back is my
remember
favorite.
you love Empire, don't you?
Empire's great.
Uh,
And then in the sequel trilogy,
Last Jedi.
This one, yeah, I'd probably say. Ooh, I do think that the Last Jedi, it definitely needs an edit, but I think it's probably the best of the sequel trilogy
Okay.
for me.
fair enough.
'Cause,
No,
you know,
I respect it.
It's the only one that actually tread new ground.
Yeah.
It's the only one that dared to be different,
Yeah.
and didn't follow, like Disney party line. And then I think with the reaction from this film and how bad it was, worldwide, they took a massive step back and just,
Yeah.
decided to hand it back over to J.J. Abrams.
I think I'll be honest. I think if Last Jedi did really well, you would get a totally different Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it was initially, Rise of Skywalker, and it was initially meant to be directed by Colin Trevorrow, but then he was fired for, people speculate two reasons. One, the failure of the Book of Henry, which
Okay.
is incredibly weird, but not a bad film. But people said it was just too weird to be good.
Okay.
That film, so it was critically slated. And then also the reaction of Last Jedi. They wanted J.J. Abrams, who they knew could deliver, an unoriginal but passable film.
Yeah.
But then they didn't even succeed in that because it's also being slammed.
That is most of J.J. Abrams' work. Like, they're not bad films. It's just
there's nothing outstanding about them.
Exactly.
They're just bog standard, generic. Star Trek.
He did direct.
Star Trek acted as a good soft reboot for that franchise as well. So they saw potential for him to do the same for Star Wars. But I mean, Star Trek isn't incredible either. I mean, Star Trek Beyond is amazing.
I like Into Darkness. I don't know if he did. I don't think he did direct that.
I don't believe so. But that was
excellent.
Slammed critically.
Was it?
Yeah.
Wow.
We tend to have a bit of a hot take on.
We do. Yeah. I love that trilogy. The Star Trek.
Yeah.
But if we're gonna get into rating, Bud, what would you rate out of 10?
I would probably rate it a solid 8.
Solid 8. I'd go for a 7 for myself. Not bad, but probably my least favorite.
Oh, like I just had a couple of points. Like, what did you think of? Is it Holdo the?
Oh yes, the
Laura
female
Dern?
protagonist. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think her
terrible.
sacrifice. I think her sacrifice is very emotional.
Yeah.
But
Obviously, there's the
I
moment.
think if you just cut her out, there's no.
Yeah, there's the moment where the ship like explodes and it's in complete silence.
Yeah.
Like, did you just think the audio in your cinema had cut
So
out?
that's the thing. Like, a lot of movies sort of go with the realism, and explosions in space are silent. It's really jarring, isn't it?
Yeah, it was shocking. Going from full volume to just dead silence.
Oh yeah. Have you ever had a film where the audio's cut out?
I think that happened when we saw Black Panther, didn't it?
It happened when we saw Civil War
Oh right, okay.
for like a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
But
And
don't know,
then
maybe
there
it
was obviously the scene. Was the scene that directly followed that, or somewhat, where Leia propels herself through space and we see her use the Force for the first time.
Also, like, she I think it's this film where she like just incapacitates Poe. She just doesn't like him, really. She just like blasts him.
Clearly just thinks he's a piece of shit. But we had this discussion with our friend the other day that, like, do you think that, like, he seemed to think that they overpowered Leia by having her be able to fly using the Force, which no one has been able to do previously. But then another of our friends agreed with me when I said, well, in space you would only need a tiny tap to go a far distance. So like instead of her
Jack?
No.
Sean?
Yeah. So instead of flying, she's more pulling herself towards the ship. She's not
true,
flying.
Yeah, true. Yeah, good point.
So I didn't have a problem with that. Did you?
No, not at all. I like Leia's development in this trilogy.
Yeah.
I suppose now we'll move into the recently released Rise of Skywalker, in which we will do non-spoiler section first.
Yes.
And then obviously go into the general spoilers.
I really don't have much to say for this.
I don't have much to say either. I'll get the praises out of the way. Great effects, great score. We've mentioned, great protagonists in Rey.
I wrote no outstanding or terrible performances.
Fair.
Adam Driver rides the line. I'll be honest. I think he's quite poor in this film.
Really?
Yeah.
I think he's excellent.
Well, like everyone always says in their reviews that the only one giving it 100% is Adam Driver.
I agree.
But is he giving it 100% in a bad way?
See, I don't know. Like I think Adam Driver is the actor. Like when he puts his, I don't know if you've seen Marriage Story.
I haven't yet. Have you?
I'm halfway through it, and I don't know if I've noticed this, but Adam Driver, but when he puts his all into a scene, like it does verge the line of like terrible but awesome.
Yeah, so I really can't decide whether he's the best or the worst performance in this film.
He's got one of the strangest voices I've ever heard. It's like like someone from Britain trying to put on an American accent, but then I realized he's from America.
Yeah.
Like I was like doing so. Apparently he was like in the military and stuff.
Oh yeah, he was a Marine. He joined after 9/11.
Yeah, hip kudos.
So he's only 36, so like he would have probably been 18 in 2001. So he joined incredibly early.
Absolutely, yeah. I think this film was really quite long.
Oh, I mean it's not as painfully long as The Last Jedi, I don't think.
No.
There was no huge storyline where I was like, oh, you could just chop that right out.
No, I agree.
If you chopped Finn and Rose's storyline out of The Last Jedi, the film would be shorter and better for it.
Yeah, put
But
it this way.
there's no one storyline I would chop out of this one to make it better.
I'm glad Rose isn't in this. She's barely in it. I mean, she's in it, but she's barely in it.
Yeah, people are sort of saying like, oh, Kelly Marie Tran has been absolutely cheated by this film because she's only in the film for about 10 minutes. But I mean, 10 minutes is better than nothing.
Yeah, true.
She seems like a lovely person.
Absolutely.
And there's nothing wrong with her performance, but her character's just bland. So
I agree.
I don't have a problem with
Pretty
her.
written is the issue.
Yeah,
really.
yeah. It's an issue of writing, not performance.
Yeah.
So had they made her character better and had her in a lot of it, that would have been good. But if they were just keeping her the same, I'm glad they kept her screen time to a minimum. Honestly,
I think this film is quite emotional in the sense of it's the last time we'll see Carrie Fisher on screen.
yes.
And apparently I don't know if you can shed light on this, they used scenes from Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, deleted ones.
Yeah, deleted ones. I assume they just slapped her on a new background and then
I couldn't tell personally. I thought they were excellent.
yeah, and then especially the scene where Leia and Rey hug. Apparently Carrie Fisher during that take just said this is the fucking longest hug of my life. But apparently for Daisy Ridley especially, it's kind of very
Emotional.
very, very emotional watching those scenes, knowing the context of how they were originally shot and then seeing how it's different and now it's taken to an emotional level, being that it's Carrie Fisher's last film.
I mean, Carrie Fisher is from my understanding, just a lovely person to be around and a wonderful actress.
Oh, she's an incredible actress, yeah, and she had a great way with words.
Yeah.
I was watching a couple of speeches from her where she roasts Harrison Ford and George Lucas.
Have you seen the episode of the Graham Norton show she's on?
Yeah, she's been on a few, and yeah, she is hilarious. Apparently, she told Graham Norton the entire plot to The Last Jedi.
Oh, really?
Or no, was it The Force Awakens? She told him the entire plot to The Force Awakens, even though she was told not to say anything herself.
Yeah.
So he knew a year in advance how the film went.
I've seen a few people sort of in different comment sections of videos and stuff suggest this film might be quite self-congratulatory in how it treats the characters.
No, nothing we've said is spoilery so far, is it?
No. But a sort of because obviously we've watched Chris Stuckman and stuff, and I watched his review of this, and he said this film was spectacle for spectacle's sake, sort of I don't know how to phrase it, but like it creates sort of something that's visually appealing regardless of the plot. Like I sort of do agree with that in a way.
Yeah.
There's a lot of actions. I think the action in this is probably one of the most beautiful, beautifully shot action in any action film in the last decade.
Right.
But I do agree, like it sort of forsakes the plot a little bit. Because obviously, this film does jump around a lot between different characters. Like Leia's in it for a long periods of time, and then not, and then she's not in it for like an hour. It's weird, but.
Do you think there is a lot of action in this film? I think it's
few and far between.
Minimal.
But it is minimal. But I think because it's quite the chunks that are in it are quite long. I think it's good. But I don't know. Yeah. In terms of not spoiler-free thoughts, I don't have that much.
No.
But it's probably my favorite Star Wars film.
Your favorite Star Wars film?
In this trilogy, my favorite's Return of the Jedi, but this is maybe second. I'll be honest. I loved it.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, you not so much, I'm guessing.
No, I really liked it. Well, I certainly liked this film a lot more than the critics did, and a lot of fans. I mean, my brother came home and said, "Yeah, you're gonna hate that." But no, I really enjoyed it. But yeah, I'm undecided. It's probably the most consistent of the three.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not the most original, and it's also not the most unoriginal. The most original is The Last Jedi. The most unoriginal is The Force Awakens. Yeah. So this one rides the line between that two, those two, and it's also well paced, well edited, well shot.
Absolutely.
So it, you could convince me that this is the best of the sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we gonna give Massive Hit a piece of shit for spoiler free?
Yeah, Matthew.
Massive hit for me.
I'm gonna say massive hit also.
Yeah.
I would fully recommend this to anyone.
Oh yeah, 100%. What are the finances like looking for? Is it gonna reach $1 billion yet? I've seen a few videos about it, but
I haven't kept up to date, if I'm honest.
Hopefully it does. Like I don't think it's as bad as critics are making it out.
I mean, I don't know if it deserves to make a lot of money. I I think that Disney needs sort of like
Something like
like a kick in the
set
head
them
to tell
straight, yeah.
tell them that they fucked up.
Hmm.
You know, because they've made a massive mistake, honestly, in trying to
How so?
beat a dead horse. Because, you know, I quite like the prequel trilogy, and I love the original trilogy. So, you know, George Lucas always wanted to tell a story about Anakin Skywalker
Mhm.
and his turn from the light to the dark, and then back again.
Yeah.
And then, you know, they took these characters and then they ruined a lot of them. You know, I'm not saying like I'm not one of those people who are like Ryan Johnson ruined Star Wars, Disney ruined Star
I know
Wars.
what you mean though.
But I'm
I know
like,
what you mean.
you know, everyone was satisfied with that ending that happened in Return of the Jedi. You know,
Yeah.
the Empire was defeated, it was done. You know, the rebellion had won.
So what you're saying, you don't think this trilogy was needed? It
No,
was just
not
a
at
cash
all.
grab?
It was 100%. Because I mean, I think everyone was satisfied. No one was begging for a new Star Wars film.
Yeah.
You know, because they were so satisfied that the heroes had won, the rebellion had won, the Empire was defeated, and then we're just like, fuck it, new Empire.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Because
Yeah.
I mean, they added nothing new really. They just had another story arc where the rebellion tries to defeat another version of the Empire.
First Order. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do agree with you. I do agree. Like, I suppose, do you want to get into spoilers?
Sure.
Yeah. One thing we haven't really touched on in this trilogy, I suppose, if I were to guess, I would say he's probably in your top 5 favorite actors. Donald Gleason.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
He's great as General Hux. Like, I apologies for not mentioning it sooner. Like, he's excellent.
Yeah, I think his most standout performance is in this one,
Like,
because they finally give him a comedic turn, because he's an incredible actor, but he's not made to be a villain.
it's so uncharacteristic. Donald. It's
Yeah.
so uncharacteristic Donald Gleason from anything I've seen. Like,
Yeah.
granted, only About Time, but I'd imagine his
No,
roles are similar. Like
he's-
Black Mirror, I'd imagine he's a similar.
Yeah, no,
character.
he's such a sweet man. Like he clearly just doesn't understand how to like scream at people.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just funny to me to watch him do that in episode 7 and 8.
Mhm.
But then in this one where it's revealed that he's the spy,
He's kind of a good guy. So well,
like it turns out he just wants Kylo Ren to lose for
I don't know
whatever
why,
reason.
Yeah.
No, that's never properly explained to us, the audience, anyway.
Yeah.
But you know, just the fact that he was even given that like sort of cheeky comedic moment where he's like, "I'm the spy."
I'm the spy.
You know,
yeah.
I enjoyed that.
Did you see that
because
couple? Like, who did you think the spy was going to be? Because I did not expect Hux.
I honestly, it slipped my mind, you know, because there's a lot of sort of throwaway comments that I'm just like, that I assume won't get resolved. I was just like, oh well, there's a spy in the First Order. So you know, I didn't expect there to be an answer.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. Do you want to go by yours? I've sort of led all the points. Like, do you want to?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of people say that this sort of betrayed Rian Johnson's film by retroactively changing the things that he set in motion.
Yeah.
And honestly, I read sort of I read something on the internet about how it actually doesn't. You know, it respects everything that Rian Johnson set down,
Mhm.
which people seem to not believe.
Yeah.
But you know, the two biggest takeaways from Rian Johnson's film were that Snoke was unimportant and Rey's parents were nobodies.
Yeah.
Both of which remain true here,
Exactly.
because Snoke turns out to be just a puppet for the Emperor, and Rey's parents were nobody because they made themselves so. It
Yeah.
was her grandfather that was the important character.
Suppose you want to get into that. Ray Palpatine, I suppose.
I did see that coming at the beginning of the film. You know, I sensed that they were going to finally give a concluding answer to who Rey's parents were. And I sensed that because the big event of this film was the return of Palpatine.
It's good to see him back. I think it's still portrayed by
Ian McDermott. Yeah.
He's excellent. I think. But he looks really weird.
Yeah, I think that's just sort of to show how he was sort of pieced back together after his, you know, apparent death.
Who like resurrected him again?
I think that he had clone bodies made of himself, and then he transferred his force presence
Professor X style?
into a clone body.
Yeah. Twin brother.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that they should have either spent more time explaining that or not done it,
Yeah. No, I agree.
because I think it was poorly done.
Probably my favorite moment of this trilogy was when Han Solo made a cameo.
Yes.
I absolutely loved that, and the fact that, you know, Kylo Ren becomes Ben Solo again and like chucks his lightsaber. Like I'm just thinking like that's a good lightsaber. Like someone should go get that. That's pretty cool. You definitely needed that in the final battle. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, he just has to trust that Rey had 2 lightsabers on her. But no, I'm sorry, Kylo Ren is not redeemable. I will not even call him Ben Solo. He is not redeemable. He is not redeemable.
Did you not even like the Han Solo cameo?
Oh no, I love the Han Solo cameo, but that's just because I like Harrison Ford as an actor. It's not because, you know, this piece of shit deserves redemption.
See, when he said "Hey kid," I did not think that was Han Solo. I thought it was Luke Skywalker
No,
because he calls him kid.
No, because I knew Harrison Ford was in the film as a force, well, like, as, you know, a ghost.
Don't know how that works.
Esque presence. I guess it was just his imagination, but it did not sound like Harrison Ford whatsoever.
Part of me was even thinking Hayden Christensen.
No, because I was like, okay, I know this is Harrison Ford coming up, but whoever said "Hey kid" was not fucking Harrison Ford.
I don't think it was.
I think they just added that in retroactively, voiced by someone else, because I don't think that was Harrison Ford.
Didn't sound like him. No, I just love that scene.
Yeah.
Like Kylo Ren becoming Ben Solo made the film for me. Like I love that.
Right.
Fair enough.
So
I understand why you didn't like it.
My brother came home after having seen the film, and he thought that I would react particularly, you know, badly to one choice that was given in the film, and that turned out to be, in his opinion, that Rey was a Palpatine. And it turns out that me and my brother did have the same train of thought, because it didn't ruin the film for me in the way it did for him, but we're both just like, for the next about 6 minutes of the film, like figuring out the timeline of like, who fucked that?
I'm about to say,
like, because we were just like, who's having sex with that? Because, you know, like, you know, I did the maths in my head, and I was like, oh well, like Jodie Comer is like 25, and then Rey was born like 10 years after the fall of the Empire, so that meant that, you know, it was however many years after, you know, the fall of the Senate. So I was just like, well, that means that, you know, Rey's dad was definitely born after the Emperor started looking like that, which means, where did he find a sexual partner? I have no idea.
The Empress, I don't know. But like,
because like he looks like a boiled rat.
That was weird when he called Rey Empress. That was weird, I thought. But no, one thing I wanted to mention, like the timeline of these films are very unclear. I get the trope a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. That means that would suggest to me that it's, you know, in the past from 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
But like, it's just weird. Like I don't know how that would, you know. I guess it's different like technology and stuff. But yeah, I mean the timeline for Rey's birth is convoluted as hell.
Yeah.
Isn't it? I guess one thing I wanted to mention was the Rey and Ben Solo. I'll call him Ben. Ben Solo romance. That's out of. Well, it's not out of nowhere.
It's not out of nowhere. The seeds are definitely planted. Like, you know, I could see it coming, and I was like, please don't do this to me. I was like, please don't do it.
I agree. It was unneeded. It was unnecessary.
Oh, it was gross. I hated it. I don't know why I hated it so much, because, you know, some people were like, oh well, that can't happen because like it's probably going to turn out they're related by some means. But it's not even that, because they're not related, but there's just something inside me that sees that as so wrong for some reason.
And the fact, I don't know why these films try to make a romance out of nowhere with Rey. Like they try and, you know, ship Finn and Rey for in this film. I would argue some people wouldn't. But I think in this film Finn is done a disservice, because he's just presented as so desperate for Rey. Like obviously we see, oh, I need to tell you something. I assume that was a confession of love.
It was not.
It wasn't?
No, it was the fact that he's force sensitive.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't see why that's something that you even have to tell her. Just use the force, she'll get it. Yeah. You know, she'll understand it. Like, why is that? And like, why is like, oh, I need to tell you in private? It's like, nah, it's cool. You know, just say it out loud. Everybody wants to hear that. You know.
Yeah. Like,
I don't see why that's like a safely guarded secret by him.
Yeah, it seems weird. Certainly not a secret you'd tell him you're about to die. You know. But hey, I guess one thing I want to mention, we should mention Lando's back.
Couldn't give a shit.
Who's he played by again?
Billy D. Williams. I mean, honestly, it makes no difference to the plot.
He's barely in it.
Anyone could have brought that fleet at the end, you know.
Yeah.
It could have been Rose, who gives a shit, you know.
Could have been
anyone. I mean, I just feel like Lando isn't really an important character, is he?
Not really. Just in Han Solo's world, I guess.
Yeah, like do you find him iconic at all?
I like him. No, I do like it. If I'm honest, I prefer who's the someone Glover? Donald Glover. I prefer his depiction than the original, if I'm honest. Like, hot take, but no, Donald Glover's excellent.
I mean, I agree with that hot take, honestly.
But no, I agree. I think this. I don't know. I think this film redeems C-3PO for me. Like, I'll say redeem. I think he's quite good. Like, we've talked about Anthony Daniels and his sketchy past and things he said.
Sketchy past.
Well, things he said and things he's done and things he's done. But I think he's quite good in this, and it is quite emotional. Would you not say, when he's about to lose his memory,
and he says, "I just need to take one last look at my friends."
My friends, yeah.
No, I did really enjoy that.
The movie completely bails on that, and then that annoyed me.
Yeah, see, any like ballsy decision they make, they just change.
Yeah.
You know, like I was like, oh my god, they've actually killed Chewbacca. Kidding. Oh, they've.
Did you think they'd killed him there or?
Well, like I would have respected it more had they, but obviously, you know, I'm glad they didn't in a way, because Chewbacca's one of the only characters, you know, I don't have any disliking for. You know, they've been, you know, he's been a consistently good character in every film.
Absolutely, yeah.
But you know, unfortunately, Peter Mayhew died a few years ago, so he's been replaced by the actor who played Chewbacca in Solo.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna attempt to pronounce his name. It's Eunice something.
We'll leave it at that.
Spelled like Joonis. I'll not give it my best attempt.
Any other points from you, buddy?
Just the fact that Rey decides at the end that she's a Skywalker. I don't think that's your decision to make.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems really out of nowhere.
Why is everyone always asking her last name? Like,
really
I mean,
important.
anytime you introduce yourself, does anyone go, yeah, but what's your last name, bitch?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know, I think that only happens to Rey.
Then
she's like, I don't know.
Like, one thing you said in the last podcast, I was listening to it back, you said, like, is Skywalker the Smith of space? That is so true. Like, that was a really witty comment. And it is true, you know, because, like, why does everyone want to know?
Yeah, like, who gives a shit? I mean, you know, if someone introduces me by their name, like, I don't go, and what's your last name?
What's your last name? Just to prove out who you are, yeah.
Yeah, but then people are like, oh, and who are your people? What's your last name? And she's like, I don't know.
Oh,
No.
Yeah. I think this film, like...
It's just Rey. Yeah. I don't know why by the end... Like, surely by the end she should be... You know, she would want to reject her past being a Palpatine, but why does she want to reject her past of being a Palpatine and then also steal someone else's surname?
Yeah.
And then my brother pointed out at the end, you know, they kind of just continue the incest imagery of Luke and Leia, you know, as though it's like proud mom and dad looking on their their daughter.
I wanted to mention to you about the de-age Luke and Leia. Like, that was weird. That looked really odd. I thought Leia looked good.
Are they de-aged, or had they just CGI'd Carrie Fisher because she had died?
I didn't see.
Do you also think they like aged them down a bit?
I see. I don't know what I use. De-age as the term of like making like a character or person who's now old or deceased young again.
Okay.
So, you know, I thought Leia looked weirdly worse than she did in Rogue One. Like, I thought Rogue One she looked excellent. But I thought in this she looked strange. Luke was okay as far as I can remember. But I thought that was a very weird scene to include, like really strange. I don't know if it was for nostalgia purposes.
I mean, I get if it was Luke or Leia, but like both of them like
fighting,
hugging at the end, like ooh. Like my brother did say that looked a bit fucked. Quite honestly, I agree.
I'd have to agree with him. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have much else to say apart from Richard E. Grant as General Pride is excellent. He's a great actor.
Was that his first appearance? Because they sort of like
I don't recall him.
They sort of introduced him as though he was a character that had been in the previous films. You know, they sort of just bring him in and don't say anything about it. But yeah, I don't think he was in any of the previous two.
No, not to my knowledge. But
Richard E. Grant's always a pleasant fellow.
He's excellent. Yeah.
Did you think it was stupid though? Especially the name of the Final Order. It's like, but then surely if this fails, you also want another order. You know,
final.
So like maybe don't be so final about it.
Yeah, like what if it fails or anything? I don't know. I thought, what did you think of the ending battle? Because it goes on for quite a while, and there's a lot of bold decisions made with Ben Solo's death, and obviously the Emperor's demise and whatnot. Like, what were your opinions on that and how it was executed?
I mean, if you're gonna have a big space battle, I guess that's the way to do it. But yeah, it's sort of just tedious and repetitive.
It kind of reminded me, I don't know if you thought this as well, of the third act in The Winter Soldier. Sort of the helicarriers, because it sort of jumps back between Finn on the
On the bridge.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sort of. I thought that was quite similar in that respect, but to be quite frank, I prefer the one in Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
If I had to pick. But do you have any concluding points, buddy?
That's all from me.
That's all from me as well. I mean, if we're gonna go for rating for this, do you want to do rating or do you want to just leave it?
I mean, we've already said massive hit, but I would probably give it a solid 7.5 or 8.
I give it a 9, but I think we'll both agree. Like, this is probably a film that, upon rewatch, our opinions would change either for the better or for the worse. Like, it's one of those films, isn't it?
I definitely think so.
But yeah, that's sort of is going to conclude our Star Wars themed podcasts and mini reviews, I suppose.
Yeah,
this has been all of December. We've been hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been Death Star Timber.
Death Star Timber. I quite like that. That's quite good. But do you want to do that, Joe, or?
I will leave it to you, Matthew.
So thanks so much for listening, guys. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and I think this will be the last one of the year. Right?
Oh, definitely, yes. We have 1 day left.
Tomorrow's New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll this has been recorded on the 30th. I'll get it up for you guys hopefully tomorrow. Yeah, definitely tomorrow. And yeah, thank you so much for listening, guys. Really appreciate it. Hope you have a safe and happy New Year. Stay safe out there. Enjoy yourselves. And yeah.